What's up, everybody? Back for episode number 3. Got the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Las Vegas Raiders. I am your host, Nazo, along with my co-host Anthony. Say what's up.
Yo. What's up, everybody? Week 3. Let's get it.
What it do, baby? We are back in the house and presenting you another episode of the podcast. Appreciate everyone who views. Always remember to like, subscribe, and share across Raidernation. And we'll get right into it here. Man, so, just coming into this week, a lot of good takeaways from last game. A lot to look forward to defensively compared to last year. And even offensively, man. I mean, we had a slow start, but it was really one of those things where I think once this offense starts going, we'll be okay. So with that being said, I just kind of want to go over a couple things here about the Raiders versus Steelers preview, all right? And you can let me know how you feel about it and what you project in these categories, all right? So
let's get into it.
They got with the Raiders versus Steelers on 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. You have the over-under is a total of 47 points, and Pitt is favored by 6.5. So I'll ask you first, what is your total point projection? And then what is your prediction as far as the spread on who's favored, Pitt or Las Vegas, and the points?
What was the spread again? How many points did they say is overall is going to be scored?
47.
I'll take the under on that.
Okay. What do you project?
The under on that. I just think it's going to be a defensive game. We saw what it looked like last week for the Raiders. I understand that, and I know you'll get into this later, Yannick Ngakoue is going to be playing, right? Here's the thing. Last week, the Steelers did not play as offensive-minded as they should. I still see them figuring a lot of their offense out. This is the problem to me with they just have a lot of question marks in their offense. Defensively, though, I don't see how that offense, who took a complete shit last week, can even match up to the defensive efforts, especially in the second half that the Raiders put up, right? Now, offensively for us, I have some predictions that I'll get into you later, but
give me just the total point prediction, though, for the game.
38 is my total.
Who's favored to win by how many points?
I got 21-7 Oakland Raiders.
Oakland? We're still back in Oakland? We're living in the past or what?
Man, it's going to take me a while to get used to this, man. Las Vegas, man.
So 21-7. I
got 21-7, and I have a bold prediction that we'll get into later.
Okay.
And my key to who is going to be the offensive juggernaut this week, if you will. And
I like it.
And that's I'm gonna start doing that going forward. One key player, and that they're gonna be my juggernaut of the week.
So you have 28 total points being scored.
No, I'm sorry. Did I say 28? I meant 38, and I want to go 21. I'm sorry, 17.
17. Okay. I was gonna say
apologize.
No. That's good. I mean, that's a very realistic score outcome for the sole purpose of, like you said, it's going to be a defensive game for the most part, but I think the Raiders still will get their little piece of pie on offense. To be honest with you, I actually have 28-21 Raiders.
Okay.
And only because of the fact of the passing, I think, is going to be a lot more in this game just due to the defense that the Steelers possess. And I think the running game will surprise us in this, which I'll go into kind of what we're going to look at offensively and defensively. But I think 28-21 Raiders. And I'm not saying that just because I'm a Raider fan. I just really do have belief in this defense with Yannick Ngakoue, like you said. If he's out of this game, I think it swings a different way. I think it's I definitely think because You have Max Crosby, who's just, man, that boy is on a mission. But when you have Yannick on the other side of him, I think his confidence level and his energy just boost way up. So let's start out first with the injury report, right, for the Raiders, because I think that's kind of key. And I just want to talk to you once I let you know who's injured and then who's been called up to the active roster. I want to get your predictions on the impact of the injuries. Okay. So for the injuries, I have, which we kind of, guessed it would happen, but Richie Incognito is out again for another game. Got that lingering calf injury. I think at his age, especially with a calf injury, like we discussed before, as a lineman, you kind of need those calves to be really healthy to get that push and get out of your position. So that's going to be something. I think it lingers anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks. That's just my own personal take on it. But the big one on offense, and I'll continue on, is Josh Jacobs. That one's going to be a blow. We got Nick Kwiatkowski on defense, which he did play against the Ravens and actually did a really damn good job, but he's out with a concussion. We got Marcus Mariota, who he's just been recently moved to the IR. So he's going to be out at least, we're looking at probably 3 games. So he'll probably come back week 4, week 5. I'm thinking he's back in time for week 5, but he's inactive week 5. So I'm thinking more realistically week 6. And again, Roderick Teamer, another safety. So another secondary piece who's out, which he was out last game. So it's no real surprise there. Kind of just wondering what's going on because that's Gus Bradley's guy, who he actually made the 53 over, some folks that were good candidates to make the 53. But this is big here, okay? So you got Trey Vegas, a.k.a., Trey Vegas, Trey Vegas, as they call him in Las Vegas. He got called up to the active roster, which we can get into what we talked about when you kind of dropped what you got to say about Josh Jacobs being out. We got Lester Cotton on the active roster, who's a guard out of Alabama. I believe it's now maybe his 3rd or 4th year, but, he could be a rotational piece on the line. And then a surprising move was Markel Lee, who was with the team back in 2018, 2019. He was off the squad, and he was on there when Paul Gunther was there. So I think that's just kind of the rotational piece to stand in for Kwiatkowski. Now, questionables for Sunday, which this is, kind of expected. Darius Philon, I think that's something that I want to talk about after you kind of give your piece, just because he tweaked his knee in practice on Thursday. So he's going to be kind of a game time decision. Yannick Ngakoue is going to be questionable, along with Carl Nassib, dealing with some kind of pectoral issue, kind of strain. But Cleveland Farrell, he's a full participant. He's going to go. He was out last game. So now just circling back to the injuries, what's your take on Josh Jacobs' impact on not being in this game?
Yeah, so this is something that I thought about, and I wanted to put a question out to not only you, but to those who are following along with us and check us out week to week, is a question that I touched on last week, and I want to touch on this week. You have a superstar athlete that is a cornerstone of your franchise. And I'm talking about, it doesn't matter if we're talking NBA, I don't care if we're talking NCAA, I don't care if we're talking about MLB. I'm talking across all major sports. If you have a guy who's not 100%, and this is not a win or go home situation, I want to know feedback from you, but I also want to know from the people that tune in. I want to know your personal opinion on, do you ride it for the game and roll the dice, or do you rest for the longevity of the season? Now, I know there might be certain caveats that we could talk about is it the beginning of the year, because that's what we're talking about with Josh Jacobs? Is it a middle of the year type of thing where a bye week's coming up? Got it, granted. But again, like I said, the big question that I want to get your take on is, with a cornerstone of your franchise, what's your opinion on a guy who technically is a gamer, but I want to know what you do in this situation.
I mean, I think we talked about it last week when we were saying, okay, so he got a touchdown, which granted he ended up with 2, right?
Yep.
And yes, it might have been pivotal, but like you said, if he's not 100% and he is a premier player on your offense, because the offense goes through him and Darren Waller, right? Those are your 2 outlets who the offense goes through. So Trey Regis was active that game. We're going to see Trey Regis and Peyton Barber this game because Josh Jacobs is ruled out. You have to play the long game with him. You can't risk in 1 week of opening week. Now, I know they wanted to come out the gate because you're playing I'd say a top 7 team in the NFL were the Ravens. They're top 7 in the league, I think.
I definitely agree with you. I think at least top 5 offense.
Top 5 offense. So, you got to play the long game with Josh Jacobs because he's going to get his nicks. He's going to get his hits. He's going to be inactive. I'd say maybe 1 to 2 games a year. And he's not going to practice all the time, but you got to play the long game. And I think this is going to be the introduction to the Trey Regis and Peyton Barber show on who's going to come through and highlight, because Kenyon Drake is going to be used. And I did like his pass blocking where he showed up, but he's mainly a pass catcher. But I think with the stature of Peyton Barber and Trey Regis, that's who's going to be your replica to Josh Jacobs with a little less ability on their feet as far as the agility and the quickness and elusiveness. But I'm with you. Like, you got to play the long game with him.
Yeah, I touched on it last week. I mean, I know that you gave me some shit because he was playing in my fantasy league last week, and he beat me. That was really what beat me. So that's okay. I mean, I'll take that because, I mean, ultimately, long game for us is, the Raiders won. That's great. They needed that week 1 win to start things off against what I think is going to be an offensive minded team that's going to definitely determine playoff picture, definitely in the AFC, right?
Yeah.
However, I knew from that first snap when he went out and he was uncomfortable, man, I knew that you needed to lighten his load. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. That's just what I felt. I felt it from the very beginning that it seemed off to me that he was already hobbling on the first play of the game. To me, I don't think he should have even been playing unless you're trying to use him, A, as a decoy, or B, you need to ram it down their fucking throats, and he's going to come in and just literally come in for a 2-yard, we're going to fucking send the house, and you want to have him run in and not like really beat him down, okay? I
like that short yardage situation when he scored on.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll give you a similar approach, okay? Different team. They just played on Thursday. Look at Saquon, right? Saquon has not been productive the first 2 games, right? He had that awesome 40-something yard run. I think it was 41-yard run or something like that. Cool, right? But they're being very, very careful with him. Yeah. I think the Raiders need to have that similar approach because, as you pointed out, you have 3 very, very good backs who can carry the load to allow Josh Jacobs to get to that 100% mark so that when he is a healthy Josh Jacobs, I really don't know how many more, who's better than him at making people miss.
Yeah.
In the open field, okay?
And breaking tackles. I mean, Henry's the only one I see who's really better than him.
That's my tied. That's my only, this week. That's my only. I would say, I'm a bit disgruntled about it, if I could be honest, because I think he should be playing this week. I think if you take it easy on him last week, he's a full go this week, and you have none of these problems. But yeah, speaking to your point, I think they're going to rely heavily on Kenyon Drake. You seem to think they're going to. I mean, and from what I've read, it seems like they're going to rush Peyton Barber a little bit more.
Yep.
My only thing is that look, you've had Trey Regis, and this is the second week he's going to be in the lineup, right? Yep. Give this kid an opportunity, because that's really what it's boiled down to for a lot of these premier backs is they got that opportunity when another guy went down, and then they showed what they really got. You don't know if somebody's going to need a Kenyon Drake going forward, and he makes himself expendable, or Peyton Barber. You can make him expendable, recoup draft picks for next year. You know what I mean? You could do that if technically you have a Trey Regis ready to go. You know what I mean? So I mean that's what I'm looking at, because I just know from what the Jets did and previously to stack all these picks up. That's one of the things that they did, is they kind of checked the depth charts. They allowed people to come in, and then you were able to shop certain people. I think this is a big week. I think this is a big week for the Raider backfield to really prove what they got going on.
The run game is going to be pivotal in this, because you have a pass rush that's stout in Pittsburgh. And I'm just going to make a prediction here, but I really think this is going to showcase Peyton Barber or Trey Regis as the backup to Josh Jacobs as a bruiser, because Kenyon Drake is the more pass catching Swiss Army knife running back. So I think this is a comfortability factor where if Josh Jacobs isn't 100% and you could lean on Peyton Barber or Trey Regis, which I know Trey Regis is a rookie, right? But his stature alone really does replicate that of Josh Jacobs. I think Peyton Barber is a little bit more elusive than Trey Regis, but fantasy leagues across the nation have been disrupted by Peyton Barber coming in because of what he's able to do in situations where they don't expect much from him, and he ends up producing. Now, there's some things that I want to go over, because I think the running game is going to be big, but just a couple of points that I wanted to look at from an offensive perspective, because I want to go to the offensive side and then the defensive side, and we can get into the Steelers defense on the expectations and things we'll have to overcome. Is with the offense, we're looking at that lineman battling the explosive defense of the Pittsburgh Steelers. More specifically, there's two matchups that I'm looking at, right? I'm looking at Alex Leatherwood, the rookie from Alabama, going against TJ Watt, arguably the best pass rusher in the NFL in the last 3 years. And then Colton Miller versus Wormley on the other side, with a rotation of Melvin Ingram as well, because they did get Melvin Ingram in the offseason. Now, I want to know from you, which do you think is going to be more pivotal? Because I think I know your answer, but I just want you to let Raider Nation know what to look at when you're looking at this young offensive line that doesn't really have a lot of starts under their belt. Is it going to be Leatherwood and TJ Watt that's going to be the one matchup to look at, or Colton Miller and Wormley / Melvin Ingram?
Let's get one thing out of the way, okay? I love Leatherwood. You know that I'm a big supporter of him, and you know it from draft day. I told you I liked him, right?
Yep.
This kid's going to get an education on Sunday, okay? Whether or not Raider Nation wants to hear this or not, he's going to get beaten like a drum, bro. He is going to get beaten bad. But the way he makes his adjustments and how he takes to this is really going to be pivotal for his career. Reason being I'm saying this is because you cannot expect a rookie in his second NFL game to be able to match up against the talent of TJ Watt. They paid this man his due for a reason, okay? Yep. I really want him to be successful, not only for the aspect of protecting Derek Carr, but I mean I want him to keep TJ Watt from disrupting the offensive, juices flowing.
Yeah, just the rhythm of the offense.
Exactly. So he's going to get beat. And if anybody thinks he's not going to get beat, you're sadly mistaken. I mean, you're up for disappointment.
Yeah.
I think this is really pivotal for his education. He needs this, because the only way you really get better and you learn to be the best is to go up against the best. And like you said, I think he's going up against the best this week. So, I mean, this is good for his career. I'm interested to see how he rebounds off of this, to see if he could make the adjustments
with this matchup.
Yeah. Clearly he's come from a Saban run offense in college. He's got those foundational pieces that will make a great NFL lineman.
Yeah.
For me, that's where it is, because I mean, I have a lot of faith in the guy. So
Yeah, and just to go off of that, because I do agree with you. I mean, I think Colton Miller is going to hold his own, because not only is the boy big, he's 6'8", 320 plus pounds, and he's definitely got significantly better throughout the years. And I think he is the anchor to that line for those guys. But with Leatherwood, there's going to be two things that I'm going to tell you that you need to look for. So the Raiders are going to run a lot of max protection. And I think double tights is going to be very significant in this, because my boy Foster Moreau is going to have to help out with Leatherwood containing TJ Watt. Okay. Yeah. So you have Leatherwood and TJ Watt, and then you got to have that big body back where you'll have Peyton Barber and Leatherwood getting that TJ Watt containment, because you won't beat him one-on-one. Like, I'm just going to let you know, like, whoever the best right tackle is in the NFL, I think TJ Watt's still going to get the best of him. So what you have to do is you almost bait TJ Watt into doing his move and catch him coming on the spin move to the inside, because he has a motor that's second to none. Like, I think Max Crosby is the only one who has a motor like TJ Watt, where if he beats you on that outside, you can kick out that running back to get that extra chip, to get Derek Carr a little bit extra time to make that throw. Likewise with Foster Moreau. I mean, the dude's 6'4", 270 pounds, 265 pounds, somewhere along there. And don't quote me on that, because I'm just going off of pure stature, but look for a lot of max protection where you have the tight end and the running back helping out Leatherwood on that side, because I think Colton Miller will be able to get that left side shored up. And like you said, that's a tall task. A second game rookie right tackle facing arguably the best pass rusher in the NFL. It's a recipe for just bad things to happen. That's why I think with John Gruden, he's going to kick out that running back and that double tights, so he can have Waller on the other side running his routes and Foster Moreau getting that extra body to block. Now, secondary to that, I'm looking at Cam Hayward and Andre James, that matchup, over the center.
That's going to be good, yeah.
That's going to be a good test too. And then you have, because like I said, the Steelers' defensive line is no slouch. So you have, John Simpson, who was a new starter, since Richie Incognito was out, and Jermaine Illuminor, who's had his starts. He's probably started the most next to Colton Miller, as an offensive lineman in the NFL. Those two will have their work cut out for them as well, but you'll see them helping out with Cam Hayward versus Andre James, because it all starts with the penetration up the middle. The Raiders definitely didn't have that last year on the defensive side of the ball, but Pittsburgh has it year in and year out. And that's what'll open up the run game. So when you're not in passing plays, you have the ability to get Peyton Barber or Kenyon Drake / Trey Regis to go off. So how do you think that Cam Hayward versus Andre James, along with those new guards, will impact the game?
Cam Hayward's he's a veteran. Andre James again. I mean, it's gonna be a good matchup. This is Andre James' third season. He showed me last week. He really protected. I mean, the protection for Derek Carr last week really wasn't bad. I mean, I got to be honest. I mean, it could have been a whole lot worse. Again, I just don't think the defense of the Ravens was there. The biggest, I think it's evenly matched. I think it's going to be a push up front, and the hungrier man's going to want it. Cam, like you said, Cam Hayward's a beast, man. I mean, he's been in the league for a while, but this young man, for center for us, he's done the right thing. He's shown that he's got a good chemistry with DC, so I mean, why not? Let's see what we got, man.
And I think, like you said, the hungrier man is going to win, because the thing that we have in our favor, these are some young boys.
Yep.
They're young, they're fast and athletic, and they're intelligent. So yes, they may get beat, but I don't think they're going to keep getting beat over and over on the same thing. with our offensive line coach, I just don't think Tom Cable gets enough credit for the ability to coach up these guys who aren't very experienced and have them step in and make immediate impact and just learn and make adjustments in game. Because I think with this team specifically, we're young and, like you said, it was ugly in the beginning, but as the game progressed, they got to be a tighter group. They made the adjustments. Derek Carr had more time to throw the ball. Andre James had that slippery beginning where he fumbled on that hike, remember? Like they were off on the count. And, Derek Carr just kind of had to get it and fall on it. And I don't think that it's going to be the same type of start as far as, being off their mark with the rhythm and just not being able to play as a cohesive unit. I think in practice, what they did was really amp up that noise and really work on that silent count and work on the rhythm of that offense because they know Pittsburgh is loud, man. The terrible towels will be going. The Pittsburgh noise will be elevated. Now, it's not like Allegiant where it's like, just magnified because of the way that they have the soundproofing in there. But I think, like you said, the offensive line won't get off to a rough start, but they'll have their hands full all day. And as the game progresses, those adjustments are going to be key.
Yeah. So what he was sacked 3 times last week, right?
3 times, but the amount of pressure was only 30%.
Yeah, exactly.
That to me is big.
Yeah. So again, what we're talking about here is kind of apples and oranges, right? Because you're really like trying to see like, who's going to honestly win on the push up front? Who's gonna ultimately be key contributors? I think, as you said, Andre James is going to be him and Alex Leatherwood are going to be big. If they're getting beat all day, it's going to be tough offensively for us to get going, man. It's going to be it's going to be tough sledding. But I mean, that is probably, like you said, that's the matchup that they're discussing. That they're like, hey, if we can make holes in this area right here, we can basically cause problems. But I'm glad that you pointed up the doubling down on TJ Watt, bringing, you mentioned it before. Kenyon Drake did a great job pass blocking, having him
surprised me. He surprised me.
Having him contribute. And then again, we were talking about the running backs, what these other guys could come in and do. There are a lot of question marks, but I think we're going to have a good game plan for this week. So
look for the Raiders on offense running a lot of max protection, which means you have to beat your guy as a wide receiver. And we know Darren Waller is going to feast.
Oh yeah.
And I think this is one of my just surprise projections is I think he becomes the first tight end to have 5 consecutive games over 100 yards. And he breaks that record as being that number 1 dude, as the Raiders continue to target him and look for openings. Because I'll tell you what, there's one guy who I'm looking for to have a big game. And I know this is how we beat the Steelers. And it's a guy by the name of HR3, Henry Ruggs III.
Okay.
Because Brian Edwards, he's going to be matched up well. He's going to be coming off that other game where he got his catches at pivotal points in the game. He boosted his confidence, but it's going to be a physical battle with him and whoever's matched up on him. Now, I don't think that there's anyone on the Steelers who can keep foot race with Henry Ruggs III. So that's where the play action is going to have to come in. That's where you're going to see that max protection come in with that double tight coming to help block TJ Watt. And then also with, that extra running back coming in where we're going to Henry Ruggs. So
I gotta be, I gotta be fair. They got Minka.
Yeah, Minka's going to play deep, but the thing is where's Hunter Renfrow going to be then?
No, I mean, here's
you know what I'm saying?
No, I don't disagree with you. Okay. Their top defender in the secondary is Minka. Okay.
Yeah, and he's a baller.
Minka Fitzpatrick is going to do great. And then as far as their linebacking crew is stout with Joe Hayden.
Yep.
And again, they got Devin Bush.
Well, I
And
mean,
they also got
Joe
TJ.
Hayden. Yeah, Joe Hayden's going to play, some kind of secondary position, whether it's.
I mean, he's going to be a cornerback, right? So
Yeah.
my thing is that
I'm
you
looking
have
at
Hayden Fitzpatrick, and then you have Devin Bush and TJ Watt, right? And then Melvin Ingram the third is like kind of like working it back and forth in with them. Great,
Yeah.
cool, right? My thing where I was going with this is that I disagree with you, and I don't think Henry Ruggs is going to have a great game. I personally think Renfro is going to have a great game, and I think that Darren Waller is going to have another over 100 yards this week for sure. Because I mean, here's the thing: we've gone over this many times. I know how pissed off you get when the Raiders play the Niners and when the Raiders play the Chiefs, because the thing that they abuse all the time is Kittle and Kelsey, right? Because nobody could fucking stop them. But guess what? I personally think that Darren Waller is better than both of those guys, and that's going to be a headache for the Steelers defense.
Well, because who's going to be on him though?
And that's why I'm saying is that whoever you're trying to put down, you chip down and you try and put Minka on him, you're leaving the wide receiver game open. And I think that this is where last week I was not on the radar with it. I think this is where if you have Henry Ruggs and Edwards out there, they can feast this game. They can really feast.
I think it's going to be a coming out party for them as far as, just what they could do against a good defense that's not necessarily as good in the secondary, that's more, well-positioned up front, because that line is going to have to hold up to open up that little bit of extra time that Derek Carr will need to find those open players. Because like you said, Darren Waller is the key piece here. Yep. If they're not chipping him, like when we saw the Ravens game last week, the announcers were more like Louis Riddick and Greasy. They were just pointing out blatantly, nobody was chipping Darren Waller. So he was running free. And those were the times that he made them pay. Now, I know that Mike Tomlin is going to put emphasis on that. So he gets chipped. But guess what? That makes one other person not coming on the pass rush and relying just on TJ Watt or your opposite defensive end, whoever that may be, Wormley or Melvin Ingram, to play their part. And I think Colton Miller is going to hold up. So they'll be able to find a Hunter Renfro underneath. They'll be able to find that running back underneath. So you got to kind of pick your poison on that. And I agree with you. I think Darren Waller breaks the record this week as, the 5 consecutive over 100-yard games. And he reveals himself as that number 1 tight end in the league. And I know there's been a lot of question marks, whether it's Kelsey, then him or Kittle. But I think now it's more of, is it Kelsey or Waller? I mean, that's the question, really.
I mean, I feel like I answered that question for you already.
No. I'm saying in general, like the league consensus of who that number 1 is. And I think Darren Waller is really making his case for the consistency of high performance games.
If we're talking tight end, top tight end in the NFL, you have to not only take into effect blocking, receiving, speed, catch, yards after catch. I just don't see. I mean, I like Kelsey. I like Kittle. I think Kittle's third on that list.
Yeah.
I just think that Darren Waller has the speed over Kelsey.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got.
But Kittle's the best blocker out of them all. So I can't talk shit and just sit here and say that Kittle is the definitive number 3, because Kittle is a great run blocker. And I mean, he's proved it. The thing is he can't stay healthy consistently. So it's more between Kelsey and Waller for me, because when you look at their stats and the performance, Mahomes is going to find Kelsey. Like Kelsey, the thing that I always am amazed with, and I don't give him enough credit for, is he's slippery when he gets into coverage and there's people around, because he'll just break off and you're just like, how the hell did he just get open when he was just, there was one man and somebody over the top, and all of a sudden he's coming back, to Mahomes getting open, and he's running 5-10 extra yards after the catch. So that's why I think Darren Waller, athletically, I agree with you. He's faster than Kelsey. He has great hands, but I think we can't force feed him like last game, because that was on Gruden. The first 15, 20 plays was scripted.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
And just think, okay, now, because I want to move on to the defense here, but that play where Darren Waller tried to one-hand it, where he dropped it, where literally Derek Carr was like two hands. If he caught that, he would have easily had over 125 yards that game, not 105, because he was hitting him in stride and he still had field in front of him. So that's the only thing is it's like Darren Waller needs to be precise like he usually is the whole game, from the first snap to the last snap, because that every play is going to count against the Steelers.
I think that he would have had a lot more yards. You got to blame Derek Carr in the beginning of the game.
For throwing too high, right?
I mean, he was throwing too high. He was throwing behind him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there was no deviation from the plan. It was like every play we're going to Darren Waller. It's like, if you do that every play, I'm going to double him down and he's not getting a fucking ball. Stop, mix it up, bro. So
that's the stubbornness of Gruden, man.
I know you said you wanted to move on to defense, so let's move on to defense, man.
Well, I would say one last thing just on the offense is, like you said, the matchups of the Raiders' young receivers versus Steelers' solid secondary. That is going to be a key in the Raiders' success, because if that run game isn't going and Derek Carr is throwing 35, 40 passes, you better be on it. And like you said, you can't have those miscues on overthrowing, throwing behind, because the Steelers will make you pay.
Yeah,
they are very good with turnovers on that side of the ball defensively. They're secondary. They're ball hawks, every one of them. And that's even with the young guys they got. So let's kick it over to the defense. So I think the big thing that I am excited for is Yannick Ngakoue playing, because we thought that we weren't going to be with him as far as this week, potentially the following week, because of the hamstring injury. But you know who I'm more excited to see that people hate on? Clelin Ferrell. Because if he does come out healthy, he's a big body. He's great in the run game. So I want to personally see him stuff Najee Harris, because Najee Harris is he's going to be the key to the Steelers' success. And that's Clelin Ferrell's specialty, is run defense. He's not the best with pass rushing, but I think once he gets going and with this improved defensive line, he can make a big impact. And I think Gus Bradley challenged him. He said, hey, we're going to see Clelin Ferrell this week. He's been healthy all week. Okay. He's been battling that back issue. So I'm excited to see Clelin Ferrell. And before we get into more defense, what's your take on those two, Yannick Ngakoue being available and Clelin Ferrell, their impact on what the Steelers bring?
So I'm not looking for a lot from Yannick, okay? He didn't do much last week, and you and I had a conversation about that, okay? I feel like he's still getting adjusted. I love him as a player. I'm glad he's in a Raiders uniform. I love the sound clip that he had that he was talking shit about the fucking Ravens, saying, this is why I love being a Raider. I can rush the fucking quarterback. That's what I want to do. I loved it. I love the heat, because you have a guy like that who's basically preaching that amongst his brothers there on the team. And he's like, yo, this is a defense that I love being a part of because I've played elsewhere. Some of these young guys don't get that. And the Raiders are a young D, right? Yeah. So you preach that, and you have some of these vets out there, and they're telling you that this D is legit. I think he's more this week. Now, just this week, don't crucify me, okay? This week he's more of an inspirational figure for the team on defense. Like I said, if he breaks out and has a great week, oh Jesus, I'd love to see it. But at the same time, I just feel like he's more of a tone setter. He's there to support the team. He's going to do his job, but don't look for him to have an outstanding game. Now, Clelin Ferrell, on the other hand, you're right. My only key to Clelin Ferrell is I hope Gruden isn't being a fucking idiot with bringing him up too quick and telling us, all right, he's ready to go. And now we have another freaking Josh Jacobs situation where he wasn't quite ready. We wanted to see how ready he was. And then he's not making the impact that we hope he all does. Because the Raider Nation loves this dude. He's a guy who could really come forth and really do big things. So, I mean, I really like both guys. This week, I definitely, it's gonna test us defensively. Now, I have a question for you. Secondary wise, you know that last week, both receivers, actually, I think all three receivers for the Steelers really didn't get going. Their offense was really lackluster last week. If you're the secondary, who are you most worried about? Are you worried about Juju? Are you worried about Claypool? Who are you worried about?
So before I answer that question, I just want to correct you. Raider Nation is not high on Cleveland Furrow. They actually get pissed off because he was picked way too soon. But I do agree with you with his abilities because I think he gets too much bullshit put on him because of where he was picked, which that's never on the player. That's on the coach.
Yeah.
You know, and secondarily to that, I think you're right. We really need to monitor because he's coming off like a tweaked back is pretty much Cleveland Furrow's issue. And, you know, when you're a lineman and you have back issues or a knee issue, that's a pivotal point on your ability to rush the passer and play run defense. So I think his role is going to be keeping Yannick fresh. And I think he's going to be taking more snaps probably than Yannick. But I just kind of wanted to throw that out there because I know, like I said, sometimes when you say some stuff about the players, I don't think you see the whole scope of it. You see kind of like a small bite. And Cleveland Furrow is one of those guys who he gets way more hate than he deserves because I don't think he's as bad of a player as people like chalk him up.
Well, you're right. To your point, right? Clemson dude came out, he was picked fourth in the 19 draft, right?
Yeah.
So he hasn't lived up to the hype.
Exactly.
I mean, but how many people really come out and hit home runs? Okay. How many people, honestly, in the top
it's a small
10,
percentage, I know.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, come on. So it's
you
like,
know how fans are, bro. You know, it's like, oh, he was picked fourth. He better have 11 sacks his rookie year, 15 his second.
Yeah, and
not everyone's Khalil Mack, okay? Like
again, I mean, the thing is that how many years are we giving these guys to go through the maturation process for things to slow down for them, for them to really read the adjustments, for them to really get used to it. You know what I mean? I mean, not
coaching has a lot to do with it too, because bro, Paul Gunther is a shitbag. Like, who has he brought along? What definitive players has he brought along and developed? You know, from start to where they are now in their career. So I just wanted
to your point though, this is a new defensive scheme that he's playing in. So you don't know, he could explode this year. Exactly. And then he really lives up to where he was picked in the draft. But yeah, that is a really good point. Like the player has no choice on where they get selected.
No, not at all.
You know what I mean? So it's like, that's not his fault.
Yeah. So just going back to what you asked, I think Chase Claypool is the one I want to keep my eyes on, only because Juju is good because he's a security blanket to Big Ben.
Yeah.
And I think is it Deontay Johnson? Is that the other thing?
Yeah. So this year he's like played himself into a number one, which is like weird to me because like he had a great year last year, but it's like, what? Like
Chase Claypool, we've seen what kind of magic he can make, which he's the one who scares me the most. Deontay Johnson, I don't think we're going to be that worried about, only because I think Casey Hayward, right?
Yeah.
He's going to play a definitive role on just kind of, you know, getting the young DBs kind of up to speed on who's where and switching over and rolling out just to help on certain packages. But I think Trayvon Mullen is most likely going to be on Chase Claypool. That's what my guess is.
Okay.
And whoever our second DB is, which is most likely Casey Hayward, I think that's where Juju is going to be. And then, you know, you have Abram and Trayvon Merrick. Now, I think Trayvon Merrick, this is going to be his game where I think he could actually get a turnover, because Big Ben, not amazing quarterback, first ballot Hall of Famer, he's known to make mistakes on underestimating that safety play. So I think Trayvon Merrick can have his coming to light moment as a rookie and really create, a turnover based on the mistakes he made last week, because he made some mistakes where he might have taken some bad angles. He was playing a little bit out of position just on his on his alignments. So I think this is the week where he has the ability if the pass rush stays consistent from last week, I think Trayvon Merrick is able to get his big play. And who I really can't wait to see is Jonathan Abram. I think he's going to light it up this game because our linebackers, they play pretty good. I was really impressed with Denzel Perryman. He was the number 1 rated linebacker on the team last week. And KJ Wright made that, play on 4th down, which is critical. And I think he's going to be leading on more this week, along with Perryman. And Corey Littleton needs to show up and show out.
I need a jersey. That's the number one thing is I'm looking for my jersey. Okay.
Right? So though, Chase Claypool is going to be the number 1 guy. Go ahead.
So KJ Wright, I feel like is going to play better this week. Not that he didn't play bad last week, but this dude had a couple of more days with the defense. He's running in there. He's very influential. He's going to be key to that linebacker core. The guy who I'm looking for this week, Damon Arnett.
He didn't really get many snaps, though. He only played
I think he played 24 snaps last week, but look.
Did he?
Yeah.
I don't even think it was that much.
I think so.
Let me double check real quick.
Take a look.
Go ahead, though.
Yeah, but like I said, Damon Arnett is a guy who I feel like young guy, speed guy. They're gonna be switching it up a lot, right? I think Morig is definitely gonna be somebody who's gonna be in that core. But for me, you've already discussed the battle up front that's gonna be going down, right? I really don't feel. Typically in the past, you've had great offensive line by the Steelers.
Yeah.
I really think that the defensive line of the Raiders is going to give them everything they need and be able to handle that. I really think that everything up front is going to be good. I'm looking at more of the linebacker secondary core for this game. Just because of the fact that we know Big Ben's style of play. You termed it perfectly. He's got his security blankets.
Yep.
If that run game is not there, you can bet your bottom dollar he is going to throw out to the running back, get him out, similar to the way that he did when they were successful with Le'Veon Bell. He would come out of the backfield. He would grab like 5 to 8 yards, and they'd set themselves up for that little first down, right? And then they would throw slants, and they're sitting there, and they utilize their tight ends, and their tight ends are always miscellaneous dudes all over the place. But that's why I say I feel like your secondary, and that's why I say if Damon Arnett can get involved in this game and he can prove that he's hungry, he could get in there with the other rookie that you were talking about, Trayvon Morig. I really think that it's really going to upset the chemistry of Claypool and Juju, because those are still 2 very young guys who play with very high energy. And if you're throwing 2 rookies out there with them, that's like watching college football battles all day long, them going at each other, very physical, very handsy, there's going to be some battles for the ball. So that's my feel.
So as far as Damon Arnett is considered, he only got like 4 snaps.
Did he really?
Yeah, he only got about 4 snaps. Now, the thing is, though, which is kind of crazy to me because I think he deserves more, but Gus Bradley has to have the confidence in you to put you in. I think Nate Hobbs is going to continue to evolve because Nate Hobbs played a good deal. Trayvon Merrick played a good deal. He's our starting free safety.
Yep.
I think Nate Hobbs may come up and make a play or 2 this game just because he just has a knack for finding the football, and he was really the big surprise 5th rounder out of Illinois, especially in the preseason. So I think with this game specifically, because I remember I was alluding to the Pittsburgh offense, they have to establish their run game, right? And they do have 2 rookie tackles, by the way. So if Yannick and Max Crosby can get penetration to the quarterback, you have to have that established run game if you're not passing to have some kind of, success on offense. Now, who does that bring me to? That brings me to exactly who you mentioned, the linebacking core. Because if KJ Wright and Perryman are in there, along with Corey Littleton, and they're sealing that up, that has to have our secondary pumped up, because now they're counting on them making plays because they're unable to get past, that linebacking core on the run side of the ball. So they're going to be passing, and you'll see our secondary step up and make a play or two. And I think they did real good against the Ravens. Now, that one play with Sammy Watkins, he was covered by Nick Kwiatkowski.
Yeah. I mean, that was terrible.
That same success isn't happening, okay? Like, yes, you are going to beat Nick Kwiatkowski. He's an average pass defender when it comes to linebacking core, but Denzel Perryman, and like you said, I think an increased role for KJ Wright is going to be something to look at. But again, Pittsburgh, their offense, they have 2 rookie tackles. What do you think that's going to do for us on the defensive side of the ball?
Well, I was going to ask you how many over under 4 sacks.
I think we'll have 5 sacks on Big Ben.
Okay.
I think we'll have 5 sacks.
So, I mean,
and I think Crosby will have another 2. I think Yannick will have 1, and I think we'll have 2 with the defensive tackles. And you know who will be my surprise for impact plays? Again, Carl Nassib. I think Carl Nassib is going to have another few impact plays where either he makes big 3rd down plays or he causes fumbles.
So let me ask, this brings me to last week and something that I wanted to talk to you. This is another one of my questions that I wanted to pose to you. Sure. Do you think Carl Nassib is playing for a contract to stay with the Raiders, or do you think he's gone after this year?
I don't know if he's necessarily playing for a contract. I think he's playing with confidence because he has a defensive coordinator who he actually buys into the system, and he knows can get results with the personnel that we have. Because Paul Gunther, and I think it was, I can't remember his name, the linebacker for the Broncos who came over to the Raiders for like a hot minute. He had mentioned something about Paul Gunther, that he was momentarily on the team and he was like, this isn't it. And I think that's a big reason why Carl Nassib didn't do as well as he was projected. Yeah. But I think Carl Nassib buys into Gus Bradley. He has confidence in the players around him. And I think he's a perfect rotational defensive end. So he may be playing for a contract. I mean, I don't know, but I think really he's just trying to find his way in this defense.
Were you talking about Brandon Marshall?
Brandon Marshall. Yes. Thank you. Brandon Marshall. So, cause he was with the team momentarily last year.
Yeah.
Right? And he was like, Paul Gunther's not it. Like, this isn't it. And I think a lot of defensive players, they're not going to perform up to their abilities with a defensive coordinator who they don't have confidence in. And Gus Bradley is a player's defensive coordinator. He brings the best out of those players. And I think Carl Nassib right now, maybe he might have a contract on his mind, but I think his consistent performance within the system and the players around him is what he's focused on, especially coming out, as the first active gay player who's actually an impact player. He's not a Michael Sam who's like a 7th rounder, just going to find his way in the depths of the bench, and not do anything. I think he kind of has a little bit something to prove, especially with the money he's getting paid, and hats off to him for his performance last week, because I think it's going to carry over into this week, especially, like I said, you have 2 rookie tackles for Pittsburgh's offensive line. You cannot succeed with 2 rookie tackles when you have players that know how to get their plays. Okay. When they know how to make plays, they're going to find a way, and they still need to go through that maturation for those rookie tackles that Alex Leatherwood's going through. Now, I'm not saying Carl Nassib's a TJ Watt, but he's productive when he wants to be.
No. You're absolutely right.
He's 6'7". The dude's a monster.
Yeah.
He's long and lean, and he can bend, and he has a good push. So I think he's kind of like the surprise playmaker this year, or not this year, but this game. And I don't mean like, oh, he's going to be all over the field. I mean, he's going to have maybe 2 or 3 crucial plays that help booster this defense.
Yeah, so getting back to what you were asking me, what was that defensive question that you just asked me prior to me asking you about the over-under of the sacks?
I don't know.
I think we were talking about the upfront with you know, my maybe.
Yeah, the tackles, the offensive rookie tackles. What type of impact do you think it's going to put on the Pittsburgh Steelers offense? Because if they can't run the ball and they have troubles getting off their passes, that's going to cause a lot of pressure on the defense, and it'll put them on the field more. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
This is what I was telling you about earlier. This is why I wanted to highlight the wide receivers.
Yeah.
Because I honestly don't think that they're going to open up. I don't think that they're going to have much success with the running game at all. I think even though Darius Philon is, you know,
he tweaked his knee.
I mean, he's questionable, but for me, he'll play. He's going to probably play diminished snaps, if that. Yeah. I think that on the defensive line, we're gonna give them all they need. They're gonna have their hands full. Big Ben is gonna need to be more mobile, and at this age, I honestly think I am the one in my opinion that I think this is his last year in the NFL. I don't think he can sustain much more. He is a quarterback who is more difficult to bring down. Mm-hmm. He is a tougher quarterback to sack just because of his physical makeup. And I mean, it looks like he probably drinks about 7 to 12 beers a night. But honestly, I think that the rookie tackles, I said it about Leatherwood. I think it's going to happen the same way. I think Max Crosby is going to beat these boys up. I think he is coming for them. I think, again, like you said, Carl Nassib he is living on cloud 9 from last week. He was pivotal in the success of the team winning, forcing the fumble and the sack. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, dude. Like, if I'm going into that game, I'm walking in, like my dick walked in the fucking room 5 minutes before I did. That's how I feel. So for me, I think that these offensive tackles have a lot to prove. Now, Mike Tomlin is a very good, he drafts historically well. Yeah. For them to take 2 tackles and have them in their starting offense, I think it's something that raises your eyebrows a little bit, and they're like, all right, well, let's see what's going on. But again, I think that the defense that showed up alone for the Ravens game, I think if you bring that same energy, I think you're looking at a very well-matched team, which is why I asked you about the wide receivers.
Yeah, and I think a couple of things to take away is, one, Yannick is playing. That right there the Raidernation should be ecstatic for that, because we thought, like I said, that we wouldn't have him for at least a couple of weeks, and it was less serious. And this dude he's a warrior. Like, he is. And the thing is he's a captain. So that makes it even more of something that up the guys, just because he's leading by example. The defensive turnovers last game have to turn over to the same energy this game. So defensive turnovers are a must. And the linebacker shutting down that run game is going to be critical. Now, Big Ben, he's a big guy. They don't call him Big Ben for nothing. He's not easy to take down, but he is less mobile than Lamar Jackson. So if you insert Lamar Jackson into Pittsburgh's offense, it's a total different game. But with Big Ben back there, I think the amount of pressure that we can get, as long as Darius Philon is back, because remember, I was tooting his horn. I told you about it, to keep an eye out for him, because he's going to be critical. I think if he plays, he may get less snaps, but I think while he's in, he's going to cause that disturbance up front, and that's going to be a long day for Big Ben. And I think we have the player personnel on defense to, cause those turnovers. Like I said, with the young secondary we have, I think it's it's going to be a coming out game for Trayvon Merrick where he's going to make a play. He'll make a play or two, and I think Nate Hobbs may have a couple plays in there. I just want to kind of bring this to a close, because I know we're kind of going through the offense, going through the defense, who we thought kind of who would have some big games. So just overall, because I had mentioned my guys in there, and so did you. Who are you looking at in this game? Give me 2 offensive players and 2 defensive players.
So I'm going my number 1 player, and I want to make a very bold prediction.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for DC is going to throw for 3 touchdowns. He's going to pass for 385 yards. Woo. And I think this is the week we get Edwards in the end zone.
Okay. So are you saying Carr and Edwards are you 2 guys on offense?
My second guy on offense is going to be Kenyon Drake. That's my guy.
And you have him on your fantasy, right?
I have him on my fantasy team. I'm not starting him. I'm not playing him this week. I don't want to play him this week.
Just because of the toss-up that it'll be?
Well, because I got Myles Gaskin.
Okay.
And I have Dalvin Cook. So,
okay. Hey,
I mean,
I'd like playing against that Cardinals defense. Watch out, bro.
I know. But here's the thing is that you don't sit Dalvin. Okay. I don't care who you're playing. You don't sit Dalvin, but it may come down to game time of seeing who I want to play. Yeah. I've had Kenyon Drake when he was a Dolphin. I've had Kenyon Drake when he was a Cardinal. And now I have Kenyon Drake again as a Raider. So I believe in Kenyon Drake. I think he is offensively. I'd like for him to rush for about 65 yards. I like for him to catch about 5 to 7 passes. And I'd like for him to at least get a receiving touchdown. That's what I'd like to see.
Okay. So that's your offense. Who you got on defense? Because I'll go through mine afterwards.
So on defense, I'm going to go KJ Wright because I feel like he's really going to build on what he did last week. I think KJ Wright's going to be the dude. And I mean, this one is not going out on a ledge. I think the guy who's going to set the tone from the beginning and really going to come out is going to be
his name, bro. Say his name. I already know.
Max Crosby, man. I mean, I love this dude. I mean, this dude is a fucking animal on the field. He reminds me of the guy in the Program who painted his face with the skeleton, the fucking animal. I love the energy that he brings throughout the
steroids. He's not on steroids.
I mean, he ain't on the juice. Yeah. I mean, he's sober. I think he's been sober for like something like 15 to 18 months.
18 months. Yep.
Yep. So, I mean, this dude he's found his love of life. Just hearing about how much he invests in himself and how much of a team player he is. He's the first guy there and he's the last guy to leave. I'm looking for Mad Max to set the tone this week.
The Condor. That's his nickname. The Condor. Oh, man, I love it. And you know what's so crazy was when I was watching his press conference when he was talking about like the Ravens game, he's like, shoot, I'll play 1,000 snaps. He's like, I'll even play 2,000 snaps. He's like, I could have played a whole nother game after overtime. That's how fresh I was, which that gives me nothing but the utmost confidence in this guy. And you never realize how big he is. He's a big dude.
Yeah.
He's long. He's got a good frame on him, which he could still fill out more. And he just moves. He's got that motor. Like you said, that motor is ridiculous. So
6'5", 255, man.
Woo, man. So I'll give you my 2 guys on offense. So
let's hear it.
I'm going out on the ledge here. And I'm not jumping off, but I might if it ends up falling flat on its face. Peyton Barber. I think Peyton Barber actually has a role in this game. And I think he's actually going to show up and surprise some of us as far as what he can do in the run game, as well as the pass game. He may take some passes away from your boy, Kenyon Drake, because he is a good pass catcher. Okay. And he's built, I think he's a little bit taller, and you can quote me on this. He's a little bit taller than Josh Jacobs, but he has about the same frame. He's like 220, 215. Something along those lines.
Yeah.
Look that up real quick for me.
Yeah, I got you. I'm on it right now.
and we can circle back to that. So I have Peyton Barber and I have Henry Ruggs III as my second guy, as offensive guys to look out for, because I think Derek Carr is going to do his thing. And I don't want to say the same as you, because I feel like I agree with you in the regards of Derek Carr putting the team on his back in this one, and he's going to make plays happen. But just to go outside of what you were saying, because I do believe in Derek Carr here, I have to go at Henry Ruggs III, because I think those two critical catches he made, I think that if Brian Edwards gets a little bit more attention, Henry Ruggs III, it's going to open up for, and we're going to see that speed, and we're going to just see some things from him that we've been wanting to since we've, signed him as a rookie. So, and drafted him, I mean. So
Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
5'10", 220, Josh Jacobs. 5'11", 225, Peyton Barber.
Okay, so Peyton Barber is about 1 inch and 5 pounds bigger than Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, and Kenyon Drake is 6'1", 211.
Yeah, which he's obviously the taller one, but I think that's not a big downfall from Josh Jacobs to Peyton Barber. And I was looking at some of his cuts of, his highlights. The dude's got game. He just,
they're stout runners. They run with a purpose.
Well, and he's not a big name, but he did do some things on Tampa, and he made the best of his opportunities in Washington while he was there for the short time. But, when you have Leonard Fournette on Tampa Bay and Ronald Darby, I mean, you're going to go with them over Peyton Barber. He's not a household name. But I think on this type of week where Josh Jacobs isn't playing, I think Peyton Barber steps up to the plate. So I got Peyton Barber and Henry Ruggs III on offense.
I like it.
On defense, I'm going to go with Trayvon Merrick making a couple plays with one pick.
Ooh.
Okay. I think he's going to pick off Big Ben. And I think up front, we're going to see Cleveland Ferrell make a couple plays.
Okay.
I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar of the game, but I'm saying people who are going to stand out that we didn't really expect much from. I think him on defense, I think he's going to do something now that he's back, his first game back healthy, as long as he doesn't get a healthy scratch. Because if he does, then I'll do a slash and I'll say Carl Nassib. So
I like
it. Max is going to show out. I think we both know that. Again, I'm not trying to pick the same guys as you. And I do believe in Mad Max and KJ Wright. And I'm kind of mad that you took both my guys, but I had to kind of go outside the box a little bit. I think Trayvon Merrick gets a pick, and I think he makes a couple plays that are worthwhile. And I think Cleve Furrow actually steps up to the plate. And I think he impacts more on the run defense than he does in the pass rush.
Yeah, I really like that. I really like that. I like that one. That really is going out on a ledge with Trayvon Moore. I really think that if he makes that pick, man, that would be huge, man. That would be.
Big Ben is known. I think Big Ben is known to make mistakes downfield if he's going to make any mistakes. He's not going to make a short yardage. If they try going downfield and Merrick reads it, I think he goes for the ball. He doesn't go to break up passes. He goes for the ball. If you watch his film at TCU, he went for the ball.
Yep.
So, we already gave our predictions in the beginning, the over-under. I got 28-21. You said what, 21-17?
I did.
We both have the Raiders, winning this one. And, I think it really depends. Just the last note on the Steelers defense. If Devin Bush isn't able to go because of his groin injury,
yeah,
I think we'll see the run game open up a little bit. If Devin Bush is there, I think the run game maybe slows down, but you have Joe Hayden and Devin Bush with a groin injury that are questionable.
Yeah.
Groin injuries are not easy to work with on defense, especially in those key positions. You got a DB and a linebacker with a groin issue. It's a toss.
Yeah. I mean, even if they are a full go, the mobility is going to be hindered. They're not going to be able to open it up full speed. So if one of your young guys gets out there and it starts and gets on their horse and starts taking off, that prohibits you if you have that groin injury. So It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. But I mean, this is a tight game. I like this. This is a well-matched game. I definitely, if I was somebody who is a betting man,
Yeah.
And I'm getting 6, which the Raiders are getting 6 from Pittsburgh, I would be laying hard on the Raiders. I'm getting 6. I'm taking the Raiders. I don't care because I think they're winning straight up. But I think if you're a betting man, I think you take this game.
Yeah, and I think building off of that Ravens win, it's going to have very positive impact on this team. And I like that they were like, hey, we're already done with that. We moved past it. You know, Max Crosby, hats off to him. AFC Defensive Player of the Week, you know. So I think, you know, that in itself speaks highly of him and what he's able to do. He just looks different out there, man. He really does. So I just want to say thank you for everyone for tuning in. It's your boy Nazo and Anthony. This is episode 3 in the books, pregame of the Steelers and Raiders. And with that, I had to cue the music and just say, I love all you guys. We're going to post this on Twitter. We have it up on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel, like, share with the fellow Raider Nation. Like I said, my man Anthony has stepped up to the plate as a Jets fan and been sharing much love for the Raiders. And you got any last things to say, man?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody. We got 6 subscribers thus far. I'd like to see us to get to 10, 20. When we get to 25, we could probably try and do a little giveaway. The more support, the more comments, anything you guys want to see that you want us to discuss, any hot points. If you guys watch it and you disagree with anything, let us know, man. We read the comments. We really like feedback. It's going to be great. Let's go Raiders this week. All right. And please show a little love. We got a big game this week for my Jets. We're playing the Patriots. Let's go, Jets.
Yeah, and like you said, you know, we're still in the beginning phase. We're building this thing up, but we appreciate every one of you guys. I know we get plenty of views. You know, we're just still trying to build it. We want to make it more tailored to you guys. We're getting more structured as the weeks go along. But as always, let's go Raiders, Raider Nation for life. And we are out.